Sell the house, or your brother's going to prison. That's what my mom screamed at me when I refused to bail out my brother's mess. Picture this. My whole family, mom, dad, and my older sister, standing on my front porch in suburban Ohio, demanding I sell the home I worked my ass off to buy, just to cover my brother's legal fees for his latest screw-up. It's been 6 months, but those words still hit me like a punch to the gut. That was the moment I realized my family wasn't what I thought it was. What stings even more? I was the one who bailed him out of trouble time and time again, quietly, without asking for a dime. But this time, when I said no, they turned their backs on me. Stick with me to find out why I had to take control of my life. Hey everyone, I'm Ella, 32 years old, living in the house I swore I'd never give up, in a quiet little town outside Columbus, Ohio. This house, with its white picket fence and small flower garden, is the dream I built from sweat and tears. It stands on the edge of a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, a reward for years of relentless work, late nights, and missed weekends. It's not just a house, it's my sanctuary, a place where I've carved out peace after a lifetime of effort. Every morning, I sit on the porch, sipping coffee, listening to the birds chirp. The soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of a lawnmower fill the air. It's where I feel truly alive, grounded in the simplicity of a life I fought hard to create. But that peace hides a history of quiet sacrifices, ones I made without fanfare or recognition. My older brother Ethan has always been a whirlwind of chaos. Where I built stability, he tore through life with reckless abandon, gambling away money he didn't have, crashing cars, and stumbling into one mess after another. And every time, I was there to pick up the pieces. I paid off his gambling debts with savings I'd set aside for myself, covered hospital bills when he totaled his car, and even lied to our parents to shield him from their disappointment. I did it all silently, without expecting gratitude. Not once did I hear a thank you, not from Ethan, not from anyone. I told myself it was my duty as the younger brother, the steady one, to keep the family together. But each time I helped Ethan, I felt like I was losing a part of myself. My own dreams shrank as his troubles grew, my savings drained while he carried on unchanged. I never complained, but the weight of it lingered. Then one day, the phone rang. Ethan's voice frantic as always. "Ella, I need $5,000 now." I clenched my jaw, the familiar frustration rising. "Again, Ethan? I'm not a bank," I said, my tone sharper than I intended. He hung up, leaving me staring at the walls of the home I'd built, unaware that soon my family would ask for the one thing I couldn't bear to give: this house. They stood on my porch, Mom, Dad, and my older sister Lily, like a debt collection squad. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows, but the real darkness was in their eyes. Expectation, desperation, and something that felt like betrayal. Mom stepped forward, her voice shrill and unsteady. "Sell the house, or your brother will go to jail," she shouted, her words slicing through the air. It felt like a dagger to my chest, sharp and unforgiving. Ethan, my reckless younger brother, had been sued for fraud, and now they wanted me to pay his $50,000 legal fees. Dad's tone was calmer, but carried the same weight. "Ella, this is family. You have to help Ethan." Lily chimed in, her voice dripping with judgment. "He just made one mistake. Why are you being so selfish?" "Selfish?" The accusation burned in my ears. "I've helped him dozens of times," I snapped, my hands trembling. Loans, late-night calls, second chances. I'd given them all, and now they wanted my home? Mom's face twisted with anger. This isn't like before. He's looking at prison if we don't pay. Her desperation was real, but so was her refusal to see my side. This house, my house, wasn't just walls and a roof. It was years of hard work, a refuge from their chaos. Hearing them call me selfish made my blood boil. This is my home, I said, my voice rising, not Ethan's bailout fund. Dad's jaw tightened. You'd let your brother rot for a house? Lily shook her head as if I'd failed some unspoken test. Mom delivered the final blow. If you don't help, it's on you. Then, as they turned to leave, she paused, her eyes cold. You'll regret this, she said, her voice a chilling promise. I stood there, heart pounding, knowing everything was about to change forever. Memories flooded back like an old film, full of times I was pushed behind Ethan. When I was 15, I wanted to study art. Hours spent sketching were my escape, my dream of a creative future taking shape. But when I brought it up to my parents, their response was icy. Ethan needs money for college. You have to sacrifice. So, I traded my pencils for part-time jobs, every paycheck handed over to cover his tuition. It wasn't just the money. It was the unspoken rule that my dreams didn't matter. Ethan, though, was untouchable. His failures, flunked classes, reckless fights, were brushed off with excuses, while my smallest missteps were burdens. I couldn't forget one night, pleading with my mother, "What about my dreams?" She sighed, her pity stinging worse than anger. Ethan is the family's hope, Ella. You have to support him. I shot back, voice trembling. And what about my dreams? She didn't answer, but her silence said everything. Each time Ethan messed up, I was the one scrubbing away the consequences, working extra shifts to pay his debts, fixing what he broke. Yet no one saw me. I was the shadow keeping the family afloat, my own light dimming under their expectations. The pattern never stopped. When Ethan's debts piled up, I cleared them. When he wrecked his car, I paid for repairs. Every sacrifice eroded my own life, all for a brother who never had to earn it. In those moments, I realized the truth. I was never their daughter in their eyes, just Ethan's problem solver. That clarity broke my heart, but it also set me free. I looked straight into Mom's eyes, my voice steady despite the chaos swirling inside me. I'm not selling the house. The words landed like a thunderclap, shattering the fragile silence on the porch. Mom's face crumpled, her hands tightening around the strap of her purse as if it were her last anchor. Dad's voice exploded from the corner where he stood. You're ungrateful. His shout reverberated through the evening air, raw and accusing. Lily, my sister, shook her head, her gaze piercing and distant. You're not family, she said, her words slicing into me like knives, each one deeper than the last. Mom took a shaky step forward, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Ethan needs you, and you're turning your back? She demanded, her voice a desperate mix of hurt and fury. It wasn't just a question, it was a plea wrapped in an accusation. But I'd heard it all before. For years, I'd poured everything into Ethan, bailing him out of one mess after another. This time, they wanted my house, the one thing I'd built for myself to fix his latest disaster. I've given him my whole life, I shot back, my voice trembling but firm. Enough is enough. Dad's face flushed with anger, his hands balling into fists. You think you can just abandon us? After all we've done? He bellowed. Lily folded her arms, her lips curling in disdain. We taught you to put family first, she said coldly. Guess that didn't stick. Their words battered me, but I held my ground. This house wasn't just wood and brick. It was my refuge, my proof that I could stand on my own. I wasn't letting it go. Mom's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. If you won't help, you're no longer part of this family. The finality in her tone hit me like a punch to the chest. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. Then I guess I'm not. One by one, they turned away. Mom with tears streaming down her face, Dad with a grunt of disgust, Lily without a backward glance. Their footsteps crunched on the gravel, fading into the dusk. I stood alone in front of the house, the cool breeze brushing my skin. It felt like I'd lost my family, their absence a gaping wound. But beneath the pain was a strange, fragile freedom, a release from years of guilt and obligation. That night, my phone lit up with a final message from Mom. "You're no longer my child." The words burned into me, a bitter end to everything we'd been. My finger hovered over the screen, and with a shaky breath I deleted it. The ache in my heart throbbed, sharp and relentless, but I didn't cry. I stepped inside, closing the door behind me, and let the silence settle. I was alone, but I was still standing. A week had passed since the bitter words exchanged with my family, their accusations still stinging like open wounds. I stood in my quiet kitchen, the morning light filtering through the blinds, and picked up my phone. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from resolve. I dialed Sarah, my lawyer. 1 week later, I called my lawyer, Sarah. "It's time they knew the truth," I said. Her voice came through calm and familiar. "Ella, what's this about? Can you come by today?" I agreed, knowing this moment would change everything. The drive to Sarah's office was a blur, my thoughts racing faster than the city streets outside. For years, I had been the invisible pillar holding my family up, my sacrifices unnoticed, my efforts unthanked. Today, that would end. Her office towered above the skyline, all glass and steel, a cold contrast to the warmth I'd once poured into my family. Sarah greeted me with a cautious smile. "Ella, you look serious. What's going on?" I set a thick folder on her desk, my voice steady. "I've been hiding something. These are the deeds to my parents' house and Lily's shop. I bought them years ago when they were about to lose everything." Sarah's eyes widened as she flipped through the documents. "You're telling me I bought my parents' house when they nearly lost it to debt? Lily's fashion shop? That's mine too. How did no one know?" I exhaled, the weight of years lifting slightly. When Dad's business collapsed, they were drowning. I emptied my savings to save the house. Lily's shop was next. She was months behind on loans. I bought it, kept her running it, let them all think they'd dodged ruin on their own. Sarah shook her head, stunned. "You did this alone?" She leaned forward, her tone softening. "Ella, are you sure about this? They're your family." I met her gaze, unflinching. "They don't see me as family. They called me selfish, ungrateful, after all I've done. It's time I protected myself." Sarah frowned, tapping her pen. "Revealing this, pulling your support, it'll hit them hard. They'll have to pay full rent now. Are you ready for that fallout?" I nodded, my jaw tight. They've taken enough. I'm done being their silent savior. When Sarah stepped out to prepare the paperwork, I stayed behind. The contracts fanned out before me like a map of my sacrifices. Looking at the contracts in my name, I felt both pride and pain. I'd saved them, yet they called me ungrateful. My fingers brushed the ink, my name bold against their faded signatures. I recalled the sleepless nights, the second jobs, the loans I'd juggled to keep them afloat. Pride swelled in my chest. I'd built this safety net single-handedly, but the pain cut deeper, a sharp ache for the love they'd never returned. That afternoon, I finalized the notices. Each envelope held a rent increase and copies of the deeds, proof of my unseen strength. My hands were steady, though my heart twisted as I sealed them shut. I sent the rent increase notices, along with the ownership papers. They'd see Ella wasn't a failure. Standing at the mailbox, I hesitated, the weight of finality pressing down. Then I let them drop, a quiet thud marking the end of my silence. Relief washed over me, tinged with sorrow. They'd know the truth now. Ella, the one they'd dismissed, had been their foundation all along, and now she was standing tall. My phone buzzed relentlessly, the screen lighting up with a barrage of notifications, 47 missed calls from Mom, Dad, and Lily. The news of the rent increase had hit them like a thunderbolt, shattering their fragile sense of stability. Each unanswered call was a cry of panic, a futile attempt to regain control over a situation slipping through their fingers. Their reactions came swiftly, raw with shock and fury. Mom's text was the first to arrive, her words trembling with disbelief and accusation. "How could you do this to your own family?" she demanded, as though I had personally wielded the axe that severed their lifeline. Lily's call followed, her voice piercing through the speaker in a frantic wail. "You've ruined my life!" she screamed, her tone a volatile mix of rage and despair, blaming me for the collapse of her world. Dad's message carried a different weight, calm yet insistent. "Ella, call us back right now. We're family," he wrote, clinging to the idea that our shared blood could undo the damage. But as their pleas turned to threats, Dad hinting at lawsuits, Lily sobbing about betrayal, Mom cursing my name, I stayed silent, letting their words crash against the wall of my resolve. Reading their messages, I felt no anger, only a hollow emptiness carving itself deeper into my chest. They had never seen my value, never recognized the years I'd spent holding them up while they took me for granted. Their shock now was proof of their ignorance, their outrage a mirror reflecting their own failures back at them. I stared at Dad's text, the word family glaring at me like a taunt. Family doesn't push you into a dead end, I thought bitterly, the realization settling like cold steel in my mind. Family doesn't drain you dry and call it loyalty. Their desperation was deafening, but it couldn't drown out the truth. This was the reckoning they'd earned. In the weeks that followed, the consequences unraveled with merciless clarity. Mom and Dad lost the house, forced to sell it in a haze of swallowed pride and whispered arguments, relocating to a smaller, unfamiliar place. Lily's shop, once her pride and joy, shut its doors for good, the closed sign hanging like a badge of defeat in the dusty window. I watched it all unfold from a distance, a silent observer to their downfall. There was no joy in it for me, no triumph, just a grim, quiet sense of justice finally taking root. They had reaped what they'd sown, and I, at last, was free to reclaim what they'd never valued, myself. News spread through the Miller family like fire through dry grass. The rift between Ella and her immediate family had ignited fierce debates among the extended relatives, each voice adding fuel to the growing divide. Some rallied behind Ella, admiring her strength and success in breaking free. Uncle Ben, a quiet man with unwavering principles, sent her a short but powerful message. "Ella, I'm proud of you. They didn't deserve you." His words were a balm, a steady anchor amidst the chaos. Yet others unleashed their scorn with unrelenting force. Aunt Anna's phone call was a storm of fury, her voice piercing through the line. "You're ungrateful, Ella, a traitor to your own blood." Each accusation was a dagger, sharp and intended to cut deep. The family split into factions, their opinions as polarized as their emotions. Some cousins nodded in quiet approval of Ella's courage, while others gossiped bitterly at gatherings. Aunts and uncles argued over steaming plates of food, their voices rising with conviction. One relative confronted her directly, their tone thick with reproach. "Family is blood, Ella. You don't turn your back on blood." Ella heard them out, but their words no longer carried weight. In her mind, she countered silently, "Real family doesn't demand you sacrifice everything." She had spent too long bending under their expectations, and now her decision stood firm, a wall against their disapproval. Reading the barrage of critical messages, Ella felt no sting, only a calm resolve. She had learned to let go of those who couldn't grasp her journey. Their anger belonged to them, not her. She chose silence over confrontation, refusing to fuel their fire with responses. In the stillness of her new home, far from the clamor of family drama, Ella turned her focus inward. She was building a life on her own terms, unshackled from the weight of their demands. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was her strongest reply, a bold testament to her independence and a step toward freedom. 3 months later, I sat on the porch, watching the garden in full bloom, feeling peace for the first time in my life. The flowers danced in the sunlight, their colors a vivid reminder of how far I'd come. This house, once a symbol of conflict and sacrifice, had transformed into a haven of my own making. The air was sweet with the scent of blossoms, and the stillness of the morning felt like a gift, one I'd earned through every hard-won step away from my past. My new life unfolded like a dream I hadn't dared to imagine. My company, once a fragile hope, now stood strong, its success a testament to my determination. We'd recently secured a major project, a milestone that filled me with pride and my team with excitement. They were more than colleagues. They were my new family, a group of people who celebrated my victories and stood by me without expecting me to fix their lives. In our office, laughter replaced the tension I'd grown up with, and trust replaced demands. Meanwhile, Emma, my girlfriend, brought a different kind of joy. An artist with a quiet strength, she'd painted a breathtaking picture of this house, our house, now hanging proudly in the living room. It captured the golden glow of the porch and the life we were building together, a life where I could breathe, love, and simply be. The past still reached out sometimes, testing my resolve. A message from my mother arrived recently. "Will you come to my birthday? We miss you." I read it, waiting for the familiar sting of guilt to pull me back, but it didn't come. Instead, I felt a calm certainty as I deleted the words from my screen. No pain, no second guessing, just the quiet relief of knowing I'd chosen myself. I'd spent years tethered to their expectations, but now I'd found my freedom, and it was a treasure I wouldn't trade. One evening, as the sky turned to dusk, Emma and I sat together on the porch. She looked at me, her eyes warm, and said, "Family is the people who lift you up, Ella, not the ones who drag you down." Her words sank into me, simple and true. "You're right," I replied, my voice steady as I took her hand. "I've found my real family. With her, with my team, I'd built something real, something that didn't demand my soul in return for belonging." I share this story not to point fingers at my family, but to say this. Sometimes, protecting yourself means saying no. It means choosing your own peace over someone else's chaos. I wonder, though, do you think I was wrong for not selling the house to save Ethan? Let me know what you think below.